So, as usual, the first thing we want to do is we want 3 students to come up and tell us one important thing you learned from Justin Haskell that you think might impact your life or your career. And how did you like Justin Haskell? Pretty awesome, huh? Okay, let's hear it for Justin Haskell. Come on. Okay. He surprised us with a couple of those gifts that he gave, and he's a great supporter of our programs. Okay, 3 of you. Who wants to come up? Tell us one thing you learned from Justin, and we've got a book for it, okay? Come on up. 2 more. Who else? Okay, good. How about both of you? Do you want to come up as well? Okay. We need 1 more. Who wants to come up and tell us what they learned? Okay, you're up. So tell us your name. Come on over here. And give us your name and what you learned, okay? And then we'll give you a book.
Gotcha. Hello, my name is Yasmin Lovato. What I learned was he said something very important that was, don't let other people put you down, or don't let your own insecurities put you down. Don't think less of yourself. And if you have imposter syndrome, don't, because you deserve to be here. And you deserve everything that comes your way. And if you work hard, you'll always achieve your goals.
Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Sarai Wallace, and one thing that I really like that he said is that it's okay to take corporate jobs to learn the skills you need to better manage your own business and to succeed.
Thank you.
My name's Justin Crockett, and I really appreciated Justin's his view on CSR. I know he didn't say that exactly, but his his ability to just really look out for the people that he's working with, the people he wants to serve, not only the seniors, but all the way down to the handicapped and less fortunate. I just think it's a why that all of us should strive for, and so I was thankful for that.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Let's give them a hand, all of them. So tonight, again, we have a very special guest, Michelle Smith. She has an amazing story, a phenomenal career, and we are thrilled and honored that she was willing to come with her daughter, Lola. And so we'll introduce her in just a minute. We have one announcement from Adelaide, and then Jane will introduce our speaker.
Hi, guys. I'm Adelaide. I'm an intern at the East Center, and I want to tell you guys about Entrepreneurship Week, which is coming up not next week, but the week after that. And this is a great way to get involved with the Entrepreneurship Center, learn more about the kind of opportunities we have there, and eat some free food. So on Monday, we're going to have a seed sampler event. So this is a great way to learn more about our seed program, and we'll have some fun games and some free tacos. And then on Tuesday, we'll have an open pitch competition. This is going to be really fun. You don't need to sign up before. You can just come and pitch your idea. And the cool thing about this competition is if you win, you'll be given money, and you need to take action and implement something in your business before Thursday. And then you'll come talk to us about what you did with the money we gave you. And then on Wednesday, we have Shark Tank, which is during ELS, but will be Shark Tank, and we'll have student businesses pitching. And it's a really cool event to come and see some really awesome USU businesses. And then on Thursday, we have a startup market on the quad, and that's also all USU businesses, and you can shop around. We'll have hot dogs. It'll be really fun. And if you own like a small business and you want to sell at the startup market, this is a QR code right there. You can sign up. It's super fun. You get an Entrepreneurship Week t-shirt, and it's super just nice to be out in the sun and get some awareness for your business. So you guys should all come to all of our events. It'll be super awesome. And again, that's not next week, but the week after that.
Perfect. And tonight we're also partnering with the Covey Center, and we just wanted to make you all aware of this. We're going down to the Delta Center on Friday to get a tour and speak with some of the executives there of the Smith Entertainment Group. So super cool opportunity. Scan the QR code up here if you're interested, or talk to one of the fellows. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce Michelle. So we are pleased to welcome Michelle Smith. Michelle serves as the Chief People Officer for the Larry H. Miller Company, where she strategically oversees major sports and entertainment properties, including the Salt Lake Bees, the Megaplex Theatres, and Big League Utah. In this role, she leads the portfolio's people and culture vision, focusing on the successful integration of newly acquired businesses and ensuring workplace policies align with the company's core values. Michelle brings over 20 years of experience in the sports and entertainment industry, possessing a deep expertise in business strategy, marketing, sales, and human resources. Prior to her current position, she notably served as the Chief People Officer for the Utah Jazz. A highly recognized leader in her field, Michelle was named one of the Utah Business Magazine's 30 Women to Watch in 2020. She's deeply involved in community leadership and as a founding board member of Women in Sports and Events and a former co-chair of the Gail Miller Women's Leadership Group. Please join me in welcoming Michelle Smith.
Thank you, Jaden. I appreciate that. Hi, everyone. Go Aggies, right? Oh, my word. So I'm like legit old. And when I worked in the athletic department, it was the Stu Morrill days. Remember those days? Anyone? Remember your parents talking about those days? But I know what it's like to go to the NCAAs. And I know what it's like to really rally around your team. And I just love that you all got to do that. As a marketing person, my favorite thing in the world was seeing pictures of the Spectrum, and you guys were all cows with your shirts. Like, that was genius. I don't know who came up with that, but whoever did pass that along, that was remarkable and something that people will remember, and I'm sure you guys love doing it. So I love that you guys get to have that experience while you're here at Utah State. So as I mentioned, Jaden, I'm even older. I've actually been doing this about 30 years now. I need to update my bio. But I started here in 1997 as a student in 95, and I had a chance to look for an internship and found one on a piece of paper in the old business school that said Utah State Athletics. And I went to learn more, and guess what? The guy doing the hiring grew up in Colorado right by me, and it was meant to be. And I was able to get that first job as an intern in 1997. I thought I'd have a little bit of fun and create this timeline for you, mainly because I wanted you to see the different roles and the different pathways that my career took me. It wasn't a straight shot to having the opportunity that I feel so humbled to have right now as the president of Miller Sports and Entertainment. I really had an opportunity throughout to do lots of different roles with lots of different universities and conferences and organizations. And so I thought that would be a unique lens to look for and see all of the difference. I think, anybody count those yet? 14, maybe? Different roles since 97. But the last part is the most important. Through it all, for me, and this is personal for me, I was always a mom first and an executive second. And I'm grateful that that is something that I identified and held on to. And you all will have things that are really important to you. And I challenge, but I also empower you to know what that is and make that your North Star. Make that your North Star and be true to that and share with people that that is who you are first. But it does not mean that you won't be the absolute best and most exceptional executive, leader, whatever, entrepreneur, whatever it is that is important to you. Okay, let's keep going. I am going to go fairly fast because I really want to make sure that we have time for questions. Does that sound good to you guys? Okay. So, I'm not a huge social media person, but I do get on because I want to follow our teams. I really want to see what our work and connection is in storytelling with our soccer teams as well as our movie theaters. And I've noticed a trend lately. Have you guys seen this where they ask Mom, what were you like in the 90s? I'll play this quickly.
Give up forever to touch you.
First, we see the stars as they are today. Drew Barrymore, Brooke Shields, Kevin Bacon, all seemingly pondering a question. What were you like in the 90s? Then comes the string of flashback photos from 30-some years ago, a sentimental slideshow fittingly set to the Goo Goo Dolls song, Iris.
I just want you to know who I am.
You guys know the
What
Goo Goo
were you
Dolls?
like in the 90s?
Yeah? Okay, good. So I'm loving this trend. I think it's so, so fun. And I wanted to share it with you for 2 reasons. 1, because I was here in the 90s. And 2, I wanted to prove to you that I wasn't the only one that had very thin eyebrows. Drew Barrymore also had very thin eyebrows. That is just what we did. It sure was fun to reminisce and find these photos. This would have been 97. This was actually a picture that the School of Business took of me to do a little highlight in their magazine. And gosh, I felt so professional and mature in that photo. Can you tell? I had a suit and everything. This was my office in the athletic department over at the Spectrum. Look at my computer, guys. I mean, that was legit. It then went to the Apple computers that were like pink and blue. Remember those, Kim? My graduation with my parents, who could not have been more supportive. I moved here from Colorado. I didn't know a soul on campus, but I knew I wanted a college experience in a small college town, and Logan in the mid-90s was absolutely perfect, and my parents were super supportive and helped me every step of the way, and I'm so grateful for them. And then these are me looking really official in a polo and a radio, a walkie-talkie. These would have been basketball games. But it was such an incredible experience, and that was me in the 90s. And I could not have had a better opportunity to not only achieve and accomplish things pretty quickly in my career, but also learn who I was, which led to this kind of pathway of growth, going from college athletics for nearly 20 years, getting into the multimedia rights of college athletics. You started having universities take all of their marketing assets and outsource them to a business that now is forming into private equity. You're seeing that more happen significantly at the University of Utah. But back in the day, it was a rights fee that the athletic departments could count on. And I was able to go into those businesses, and that's where I really learned how to be a builder, how to learn what are the assets within an athletic department that were marketable, that you could sell, and then how do we sell them? How do we sell a story, and how do we build the team? And I really enjoyed that into the Jazz in 2014, and then just taking off into what we've been able to accomplish at Miller Sports Entertainment, which is a new ballpark in South Jordan, which we're super happy about. We've acquired 2 soccer teams, and we're continuing to really hope and rally around the possibility of MLB in the state of Utah. So if I could, I just am going to quickly kind of highlight some of the things. You know, we were talking just prior to this in a dinner. You've had incredible speakers come in this series. And you know what? I should pause, if I could, and just thank Mike so much for having me and trusting me with all of you to share my story, as well as Dean Anderson. He has been a dear friend over the years, and it has just been so fun for me to work with him. He has incredible vision for this college and this school, and has done incredible work, and I am very jealous and envious that he gets to now teach and enjoy retirement with his beautiful wife. So thank you both so much. You can clap. Thank you. Thank you for clapping. I'd appreciate that. And Andy, thank you as well. Thank you as well. So what I thought I'd do is just quickly kind of go through. So starting here, Utah State, I got a BS in marketing, Bachelor's of Science in Marketing. As I mentioned, I had roles in the athletic marketing and promotions. Many of you may know Kim Larson, who's also part of the Huntsman School. She and I got to work together for several years, and she's remained a dear friend. Ran game ops, event promotion, fan giveaways, all that fun. Here's what I really learned. You'll see in there Only Women. In the late 90s, there wasn't a lot of me. There certainly was not a lot of me that weren't coaches or former student athletes. And I remember having this really pivotal moment in my journey where I thought, I look like a child. I'm the size of a child. I'm probably not going to be fierce like a coach or a former athlete. But you know what? I'm going to work really, really hard. I am going to be an exceptional teammate. I am going to collaborate, and I'm still going to have grit. Like, I'm going to get things done. You can count on me but I'm going to do it with a lot of compassion and kindness. And I'm going to stay true to that part of who I naturally am and who I have really appreciated, that I have a nurturing side to me. And I was so grateful as my career continued to grow that was something that I recognized and that I was willing to stay true to. Because there certainly have been moments where I have been surrounded by a community of men in the business, and I've chosen to stay with those softer skills and accomplish my work with the same amount of grit and drive, but I did it in my way. And I chose kindness, and I chose collaboration, and I chose to still be strong. Then that led me to the University of Utah upon graduation. I was there, and then I got to come right back to Utah State, which was awesome, and work in a full-time position as an assistant athletics director, working on sponsorships and continuing to add more tools to my tool belt, is what I like to say. And I really learned about school pride and how you can drive revenue from school pride. Again, the Stu Morrill days, Aggie Gymnastics was doing really well at the time. It just was an incredible momentum builder that I couldn't have been more proud to be a part of. And certainly continuing to grow a passion for developing people and realizing that I couldn't do it alone, and that I had an opportunity to bring those with me as people have brought me along with them. Which actually led to my next place, was the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Has anyone been there? Yeah, what'd you think? I love it there. Super cool, right? Unlike anything that you've been to, our military academies are not the college experience that you have. They are much more defined in their everyday schedules, and they are just, it's just inspiring. And I was so grateful to go there. And actually, how I went there was through this gentleman right here, Lee Rosenthal. He was the regional vice president of an organization called Viacom Sports. And why I say this is because you probably hear, as you meet with speakers and in your courses, the power of networking. I'm going to be even more broad and say it is a power of relationships. And that's what Lee Rosenthal taught me. His middle daughter right here was actually a gymnast at Utah State, and I was doing marketing. And fortunately, I caught his attention with the work that I was doing and the experience that I was working with our team to grow. And he came to me and said, "Have you ever thought about living in Arizona?" And I said, "Absolutely not, but I will think about it." And he recruited me to go to ASU. And at the same time, Viacom Sports was also bringing on the Air Force Academy. And I'm born and raised in Denver. I'm very proud to have grown up in Colorado, as I mentioned. And I said, "Can I go back to the Air Force Academy?" And the response that I got from the leadership team of men at that time, and believe me, I do not in any way want any of my comments to reflect that my male teammates have not been the most remarkable mentors and advocates for me. There's just realities that I experienced that I got to learn from. But in that moment, the leadership team of men said, "We cannot send a woman to the Air Force Academy." And I remember saying to them, "Why could you not send a woman?" "Well, it's a military academy." Again, why could you not send a woman? And so they were wonderful and listened and heard me. And I had a chance to go there. And one day, Lee and I are in the car. We're driving to an appointment to meet a new client. We were selling sponsorships. This is the multimedia rights. And he said to me, "Michelle, what business are we in?" I looked at him and I said, "Well, we're driving revenue, right? We're getting sponsorship dollars. We're driving revenue. We've got to pay a rights fee to the academy." And he said, "No, Michelle, that's not it. You're in the business of relationships." That was so powerful for me, so powerful that it allowed me to think differently, so that I went into meetings or pitches with new clients, and I was allowed and inspired to get to know them, not just to tell everyone how great the Academy is and what the viewership would be if, you were the sponsor of the broadcast, or what impressions your signage would get you. I was able to understand what was important to them, what marketing objectives were they trying to accomplish so they could be successful in their job. I also got to learn and be empowered to ask them about their families and what was important to them and how could we connect and help them achieve their goals and their journey. And I'm so forever grateful to Lee for his ability to help inspire that and open that visibility to me. And if you were to ask me, what have you done in your career, I would say every single one of those roles that you saw was in the business of relationships. From marketing to sales to human resources or people and culture, it was all of business of relationships. Fun fact, Allison, the gymnast, because she is an Aggie and she has a story and I didn't want to miss that, she's now currently the medical director at the Mayo Clinic. And she was just named the 2026 Physician of the Year, which is incredible. And here's what it said on her award, because to me, this is an Aggie. In recognition of exemplary clinical expertise, she knew her field, she continued to be a learner, she continued to grow. Exemplary clinical expertise, as well as empathy, and a commitment to advancing the field of medicine. That's daring mighty things. That's also doing it as a human. Having compassion and empathy, and I admire that about leaders, and I was super proud when Allison got this award. Okay, moving on. So I got a call in 2014 from my very first boss in 1999 at the University of Utah. His name was Mark Amicone. Mark, over the years, had become the president of the Salt Lake Bees, and he was working for the Larry H. Miller Group, and we had kept in contact all those years. Remember relationships, all those years, and I knew what his boys grew up to do and how their baseball careers went, and he kept up with all of my kiddos, and he called and said, I think there's a job you need to look at the Jazz. And I trusted his recommendation and was able and fortunate to join the Jazz in 2014 in a sales role. Ultimately, I shifted to people and culture or human resources. I always like to say I took that marketing degree and said, what do we really want to be called? What do we want to be seen? What do we want the brand to be? And I said, it's not human resources, right? Human resources is scary. Nobody likes to deal with them. They do our paperwork or they fire us is usually what the perception was. And so I had an incredible president of the Utah Jazz who supported that vision, and we transitioned to people and culture. During that time, we also introduced a leadership development program. The arena renovation was a huge project I got to be a part of in 2017. And then COVID came, and as now that years have passed, joke with, I don't know, a little bit of, anxiousness, Rudy Gobert started COVID, and we all got to figure out what to do. It was a unique time. We were certainly, as the Utah Jazz as an organization, were ground zero, not only within the NBA, but within the state of Utah. We were the first organization to figure out, what do you do with your employees? What do you do with your businesses? And we not only owned an arena and a basketball team, we still had movie theaters throughout the state. And it was an incredible time to come together as a team and to work with our state leaders and to identify what was next to be safe during that time. But what I really loved about my experience with the Jazz was a moment, I think it was around 2015, that I was at an MBA conference, and our president, now CEO, Steve Starks, was with me, and they had a women's leadership session. And I remember coming back to him and saying, I have the most incredible story that I just heard from Cint Marshall. She had just been hired as the first female CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. She was a former AT&T executive, and she was so incredibly transparent and authentic when she spoke to this woman of leaders, and she told us about crystal balls. And so I want to pass it along to you, and I'm going to do it without embarrassing myself, because I've been known to tell this story and embarrass myself, and I'll tell you why in a second. We all have balls. I got a little embarrassing and said, yes, men have balls too. Go ahead, you can laugh. So now I just say we all have balls. Here's my point. You all are juggling many balls. Even now, as students, you're juggling balls. It could be work and schoolwork. Some of you could have families. Some of you could be caring for your parents. Some of you could be doing so many different things, and you have all these balls. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to recognize which of those balls are rubber balls and which of those balls are crystal balls. Because if you can recognize that, in the right moments, you can let your rubber balls drop. Because they will just bounce, and they'll stay by you, and one day you can pick them up when you're ready to start, right? Juggling those. What's the most important is knowing your crystal balls, because those, as St. Marshall taught us, were the balls that cannot drop, because if they do, they will shatter. And that could come with so many consequences that you don't want. Remember how we talked about knowing who you are first, and then secondly, being that entrepreneur or leader? This is a crystal ball moment. Know what your crystal balls are and realize that they're going to change. What is a crystal ball to you right now, today, could be totally different next week or even next month, certainly next year. So you need to recognize what they are. And not only recognize and tell them to yourself, but even in the right and safe moments, share with the people around you. And if something is a little too vulnerable, share what you believe in about your rubber balls and crystal balls. I'm not going to embarrass myself again. And be able to say, this is a crystal ball moment. On my executive team for sports, I've had team members a few times in the last few years that we've worked together. Well, I'll have one of my leaders come and say, hey, Michelle, I got to take some time on Thursday. It's a crystal ball. That's all they need to tell me. If they don't want to tell me more than that right now, that's okay. But I know it's a crystal ball to them. They have all my support in the world. So know what are rubber balls to you and what are crystal balls. That was huge for me when Sint shared that lesson. Okay. We talked a little bit about becoming the chief people officer at the Jazz. And after we sold the Jazz, I was with SEG for a couple more months. I had a great lesson on fit. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on there, but you know what? It was a pivotal moment for me. It was a big change. I had grown to absolutely have an identity and an incredible connection with the culture of LHM, as well as the mission to enrich lives. And you don't realize in transactions that culture doesn't stay when a company of leadership leaves. And the new company that comes in takes a bit of time to build that culture. And I had an incredible leader in our state. She's run several media companies for the LDS Church, and I had a call with her, and you guys, I am sobbing, right? Like at this point, COVID's happened. We've just sold a Jazz, which was like my whole identity and my people. They were my tribe, and what am I going to do? And I'm sobbing on this call, and she was so great to just quickly pause in the conversation after I finished woe was me and said, Michelle, the fit changed. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not super talented and couldn't do remarkable things still with the Utah Jazz. And it also doesn't mean that the new ownership isn't incredible and talented themselves. The fit just changed. And you're okay. I share with you all and hope that there might be a point where you'll remember today and acknowledge as things move around you that fit may change. And it doesn't mean you're not exceptional, nor are they. It's just a time that allows you to be open to something that may be new in your journey. Certainly have continued to focus within LHM on leadership development, employee experience, and total rewards and well-being, as well as that belonging word that is just so important to me. I was asked in a dinner tonight if there's some books I recommend, and I wrote them all down, so I'd remember them now. But one, if you are ever wanting to learn more about a culture of belonging, again, another remarkable speaker that came to the MBA meetings that really inspired me was a gentleman named Dr. Steve Robbins out of Michigan State. He wrote a book called What If? And he speaks to the cognitive need that we all have to belong. We need it. We were built that way to survive. The survival may look different. We're not killing our next meal, but we are surviving in this world, and we need to feel like we belong. And if we, as leaders or owners of businesses, can create a space where people feel like they belong, they can achieve their highest potential, because cognitively, they're focused on the task, the performance needs, the accomplishments that you need them to do on a project, or the objectives of their role, instead of being cognitively caught up with the brain saying, why don't I feel like I belong? Why did that leader just talk to me like that? Why wasn't I included in that discussion? Or why wasn't I included in that lunch? All of those different things. You think about those moments when you haven't felt like you belong. What does your brain do? It's not working at its highest performance. It's caught up in all of those what's going on. And so his focus is, what if we all looked and thought things through the cognitive aspects of task performance? This is an incredible picture for me. It was a special day. It was International Women's Day, and we had a panel. This is Steve Starks, our CEO of the Larry H. Miller Company. Our Chief Legal Counsel, Sarah Starkey, Amanda Covington, our Chief Corporate Affairs Officer, myself. We all, three of us, sit on our executive team at LHM. And then that is Nicole Tanner, the founder of Swig. Anybody familiar with Swig? Yeah. It's an incredible brand, and Nicole has an exceptional story of starting Swig in southern Utah, and it's been really fun to now be stewards of her business as majority owners of that company and continue to scale and grow it. I brought this up because one thing that Steve has taught us as a team throughout the years is to trust intent. And if I could leave you with another principle of leadership, it would be absolutely that. There are moments in our journeys that can be hard. And I don't want hard to not exist. I want you to have moments where you need to have a really crucial conversation about something. Challenge someone, right, on a strategy. I want you to have a crucial conversation on what you need to happen culturally with a business. I want you to be able to have all of those. But at the same time, I want you to remember the person on the other end is not you. And so therefore, they're going to receive some things in a different way than you might have intended. But at the end of the day, if we can all trust that everyone has really good intentions, I think that you're able to accomplish even more, and that's something I have certainly experienced in my career, and I'm grateful that Steve has instilled that in our team, to trust intent. Okay. So, I've got a really cool gig. Not only as the Chief People Officer, but also the President of Miller Sports and Entertainment. Our portfolio today includes the Salt Lake Bees, an affiliate of the Angels, as well as a brand new ballpark at America First Square in Daybreak in South Jordan. Has anybody been there? Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. No, the ballpark's not downtown anymore. I get that a lot. It's in South Jordan, and it is beautiful. It is something that we very much approached in designing major league experience in a minor league ballpark, as well as developing a mixed-use development around it that has a sports anchor. You'll see that is becoming a new normal as sports teams are building facilities, is to create a whole development with hotels and retail, as well as multifamily, and then you also have your sports anchors. So it's really a live, work, and play. dynamic. And so we're really excited about what we've been able to establish, the first one in the state of Utah in Daybreak in South Jordan at downtown Daybreak. We also, in the portfolio, have Megaplex Theatres and our new CEC concept. How do you like your newly converted luxury theater in Logan? Tell me you've all been there. Yeah. It was much needed. And so I'm so grateful. Not only do we want to be really strategic in the investments and the returns prove themselves out on those luxury conversions, we want you to have a great experience when you go to a Megaplex. I was telling the group earlier at dinner that so many, if you pause and think about it, so many of your core memories are probably related to a movie. Whether it was the film that you just really connected with, or it was the group of people that you went with, and it became something that was really special. And so at Megaplex, we know that those are a unique place to be stewards of, gathering places, and so we want them to be world-class and certainly want them to be safe and enjoyable. And so luxury seats that are heated even are just a joy. And then we are integrating Real Salt Lake in the Utah Royals. Who would have thought I'd be in soccer one day? Not me. But I am loving it. I am finding that soccer is an incredibly passionate sport, but also one that is so enjoyable to get into. And we have incredible athletes. So really our role sits at the intersection of sports, venues, and community. Which couldn't be a better place to be. I threw this in here because I thought it was super interesting for you all. So this is kind of the storied timeline of the Millers and the organization's life in sports, from acquiring the Utah Jazz in '85. You see the Golden Eagles. The Delta Center was actually opened in 1991. Some of you may remember Fans, the retail stores. That company was so fun to have. Then you've got Megaplex opening in 1999. The Tour of Utah. Anybody remember the pro cycling race? Yeah, it was super cool too. An international event. Then we hosted the Salt Lake 2002 Olympic Games. We purchased the Bees in 2005. We had a sports park in Tooele, radio stations, the arena, jazz gaming. That was fun. I don't even know what else to say to that one. All-Star Games secured that right before the divestiture to SEG. And then we've been able to kind of have this rebirth into 2024, building the team and identifying, are we in? Like after the sale of the Jazz, are we in on Megaplex? Are we in on the Bees? And we are in. We are in for the power that they bring to communities and those opportunities to come together and enjoy those moments in life. And then we got to acquire RSL Football Holdings last April. Okay, we're about there, guys. We're going to have a good amount of time for some questions, a good 15 minutes, so be thinking and don't be shy. Just to close, lessons learned. Again, a mom first. My family is the most important thing. That's why I believe I'm here. And that is my purpose in this life. And then secondly, I've been very, very blessed to be an executive and use the skill sets that have been naturally given to me to continue to support businesses and people. And I'm grateful for that. I mentioned I built a career raising 4 kiddos, and now I have a grandson. To 2 Aggies that met here and got married, and I know it's so awesome. And I expect him to be an Aggie one day too. I've learned to ask for help and model healthy integration of work and life. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I had a question about work-life balance. Here's what I've learned. That's never going to be achievable. It's just not a reality. But as I've been able to talk to people and share what I need to have the work-life balance, when I talk about integration, it's very, very helpful. How I need things to integrate into my life or how I need to integrate into the business. And to being able to evolve that throughout my career has been exceptionally helpful. I think this is how my team would describe my approach to leadership: empathy and flexibility. I've learned a lot over the years. I've experienced a lot in my life that I am so grateful, the hard and the good, but it's allowed me to have some great empathy and certainly value some flexibility in life. I trust everyone that works with me. They are incredible leaders and adults and know what they're responsible for. And I need to allow them to be that adult and have the flexibility that they need. High standards with high support. I could not have accomplished everything I have without incredible people around me, exceptionally talented people, like crazy talented, so much smarter than me in so many ways. But that transition to realizing that if I allow all of those incredible people to be around me, I'll be able to accomplish with even greater success the things that are important to me. Belief that sports teaches resilience, confidence, and teamwork. And then looking ahead, I'm really excited to keep building places where life takes place. And preparing the next generation. I wake up every day and I'm super excited for opportunities that I have to help prepare that next generation to continue to take these businesses and carry them on into the future, because things will keep evolving for sure in sports. And then I do believe that Larry H. Miller as a company is continuing to do the right thing in creating spaces where life takes place. And that couldn't be more of something that I appreciate. So that was quick and to the point, but I did want to leave you with one last quote that is my favorite, and it actually exists in your new Covey building. Did I say it right? Gardner building, I'm sorry. Leadership Institute is Covey. The Gardner building, the staircase, the learning staircase, there is to the side of it a quote by Gail Miller, which is my very favorite, and it's "Lead with love and success will follow." I remember when Gail first shared this, I was so grateful that she used the word love. I mean, there was a crazy time in my life, in my career, in professional work environment, that love was never used. I remember erasing emails that would say, "Oh, I love what you're thinking," and I'd have to say, "Oh, no, that's not appropriate right now. We don't get that kind and compassionate with each other. Keep it professional." And so I love that things have evolved and we can use words such as love in the context that it really is important. And that is feeling seen, and that's feeling respected and appreciated and cared for. And if we do that, all of the success that we want to have will follow. And I believe this wholeheartedly, and I'm so grateful that Gail and her family, as well as Steve Starks and the executive team, continue to live to and exemplify. So I hope you guys remember this quote and use it with others. Okay, friends. Questions? Yeah? Oh, thank you for claps, too. Thank you. Even whistles. Wow, you guys are the best. Yeah?
Do you think you have any habits, or what are some habits that are non-business related that you feel like have helped you be a good entrepreneur or good manager? Habits like, I don't know, making your bed or drinking water, something like that seems unrelated that you feel like it's actually a really good habit.
Yeah. Did you guys all hear? He asked me if I have any habits that are kind of unrelated to work and maybe more my personal life that have helped me. Lola, can you think of anything that I do? I do make my bed every day. I think that makes a big difference in how I feel when I come home. It's kind of like, okay, everything is a little bit. I also don't ever let dishes stay in my sink. I don't know if that's OCD or a really good habit, but I don't go to bed with dishes. Again, it just helps me feel like my crystal balls are in a good place and I'm taking good care of my home. I think exercise is really important too, in whatever that looks like to you. right? You don't have to do an Ironman. It could look at whatever it is, just a walk. I think it clears the head, and I think it's really wise to stay healthy and exercise. Thank you for that question. Yeah.
How do you practice transformative leadership?
How do I practice transformative leadership? That's a great question. I've really found that I need to make sure that I know what the vision is, that I need to understand what that looks like and be able to know how to share that with each individual person. I talked a little bit more about the disruption. Remember when we talked about good intentions and intentions? Why I say that is because there's always going to be some disruption in how you receive something I share. So if I know I need to have some transformative leadership, we need to go a different direction, I need to make sure that I know my leaders on my team and how they hear things and how they're motivated so that I can approach them with a new strategy or direction in a way that they'll hear it and feel the same passion and vision as I aspire to have for the organization. That's probably the biggest factor, as well as just really understanding fundamentally what we want to do. I say that to our team a lot. We need to be super fundamental. I'm a huge believer in gut and instinct, but I also am an even bigger believer in data and tools that allow us to really understand the why so that we are fundamentally making a decision. Thank you. Yeah.
So I was wondering, the job market is more competitive than ever, and especially in such a wonderful space of marketing. To the students who are graduating, and obviously we know because of AI and all the technology, those entry-level jobs are harder to get than ever. What are the most important qualities, and what advice would you give to incoming students who really want a chance to make a difference in the workplace?
Yeah, I love that. The first thing I'll say is don't be afraid of AI. I am encouraging our team to lean into AI, but it's supplemental. So when I'm looking at a next generation leader, I want them to come in and show me that they're not defensive or scared of AI. They want to embrace it, and they want to show me as a leader and as an organization how we can use it even more effectively to take storytelling, to take identifying campaigns even further, to help create a vision, not create the vision, but to be a supplement to the work. I think that's really, really important, and know how to talk about it. The next thing I would say is, I was thinking about this morning. I had a feeling this question would come up. Here's what I'm going to challenge you all to do. Typically, when you now enter an interview or a job search, you probably come with a ton of humility. In this great state of Utah, we lead with so much humility, which I appreciate so much. But it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to self-promote in a humble manner. So I want to challenge you to know what you're good at and to know how to speak to what you're good at. Maybe you're really, really good at copyright as a marketer. Like, you know how to tell a story. You know how to use words that you'll feel as much as hear. Do you know what I mean? Know what it is that you're good at, and don't be shy to step confidently into a space to promote yourself and say, this is why I'm good and this is why it's important for your business. You can do that with a great amount of humility. And you can even say, I'm going to share this with great humility. I'm exceptional at this. That's okay, right, Doug? It's absolutely okay. Thank you for that question. Yeah. Hi.
This is John Claus.
Hi, John.
I have a question about how you lead with love.
Yeah. How do I lead with love? I am willing to cry with you when it's appropriate to cry and to feel that way. I'm also willing to have a hard conversation with you, which is love. I'm willing to share if I see that a style approach is not presenting you in a manner that I believe you want to be seen as a leader, and that's love. I also will genuinely care about what you care about, which means I have to ask enough questions and take the time to know as a leader what you care about. And that's not always comfortable for everybody, right? And so being able to find a space and a desire to do that has really been so valuable to me when I've done that. Thank you for asking me that. That was a good question. Yeah, and then I'll go right there.
You spoke a lot about in your early career being surrounded by men, and you chose consciously to lead with compassion and kindness. How did you choose that without getting caught up in like the competitiveness of it? I feel like
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
You choose that and not get caught up in other things.
Yeah. So I want you to do this when you go home tonight. I want you guys, well, you please, but everyone else is happy to join in. Pixar created an incredible short film, and it's called Pearl, P-U-R-L. Pearl is a pink yarn ball that goes to work in New York City at Bro Industries, right? They're all in suits. Pearl ends up knitting herself into a suit. And I'm not going to tell you what happens after that, but it is an incredible story about being true to who you are, and that diversity or that unique aspects of you add to the team in an even bigger way. But she had to make the conscious choice not to stay as a knitted suit and to be that pink yarn ball. And so for me over time, and there has been moments of insecurity for sure, absolute moments of insecurity. And luckily I've had incredible mentors and sponsors who around me who have reminded me, you don't need to do that. Be you. You bring a strength to our team that we don't have if you start being like everybody else. Watch Pearl, you'll really like it. Oh, yeah.
Right here. Two questions for you. The first one, back at the beginning of your career, what initially got you interested in working for USU Athletics?
Yeah.
And then what's kept you in the sports and entertainment industry for the last 30 plus?
Yeah, thank you. So I mentioned I was born in Denver, born and raised in the 80s. I had a dad who loved sports and included me in all sports. We went to Bronco games back in the Orange Crush days. We went to Avs games when they came. I remember watching Rockies games when they were in the football stadium, when they just came. He really kind of opened my mind to this love of sports and the connection it could bring to people. And so I think that when I went to the business school and saw that internship at sports, that certainly brought me back to a root of my childhood. I actually thought I was going to be a math teacher. I came to USU and even took some courses in the College of Education, thinking that that's what I wanted to go do. And my CPA dad reminded me how much teachers made and fundamentally changed my mind. And that led me into a business degree and then marketing, which I love storytelling. I love creating connection. I love understanding how people behave. And so when I saw something in sports and that marketing, it just kind of all worked. I would say that I've kept into it really back to that business of relationships. I've enjoyed that so much, whether it's external relationships outside of the teams with partners and sponsors and boosters and fans and community, as well as the internal relationships that I have been able to be a part of with the teams and with the business leaders. I've been very fortunate. Okay, one more question, Jaden? Okay, one more question. Yeah. She was really cute. She's like, me. What has kept me strong during... I'm going to answer this completely transparently. My faith. My faith has kept me strong. Challenging times have certainly come as I've continued to develop as a leader and understanding who I am and my voice and what was important to me and where I wanted to go. But challenging times have also come in my journey that I wouldn't expect with my family and my faith at the end of the day is always what has kept me going. And I would encourage anyone to understand what that is for them. For me, it's my faith in the gospel that I believe in, but for other people, it could be faith in their family, faith in nature, whatever it is. But I do want to root that ability to navigate hard, because hard comes, through belief and faith and hope. Thank you for asking and letting me share that. Jaden, are we really done? Can we one more, Mike? That would be great. I got you before, so we can talk after. Okay, yeah?
What was the most influential or pivotal relationship or connection you had in your life?
Yeah, well, so I had a few. I mentioned in 1999, my first job was at the U, and then Mark Amicone later called me in 2014 and said, you need to come back. You guys want to hear what's so cool? I got to retire Mark as his boss this last year. It was such a cool experience for me, like full cycle, right? To be able to honor him and be able to celebrate him in his career. He was pivotal for me. Mark absolutely made me believe in myself. Actually, funny story. The night before I flew in from Vegas for the interview with the Jazz, they let the woman go that was going to be my boss. Literally the night before. Not a good fit. Remember, we talked about fit. It wasn't a good fit. Mark picked me up from the airport and he said, Michelle, you got to go in there and get her job. And he believed in me completely. And I had 15 minutes from the airport to downtown to get all pumped up to go in there and take my experience, which I knew I was qualified to have that role and to be able to speak to it. And I couldn't have been more grateful for Mark and his love over the years, but it was fun to retire him. Lee Rosenthal was another one that opened doors. And then Steve Starks, our CEO, has always been an incredible advocate for me, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you, guys. Thank you.